A few weeks ago, Jagex, the creators of RuneScape, announced their new survival game set in the RuneScape universe. But never would I have expected to see this game ghost drop into early access this soon. And man, I am excited for it. Survival games for me are always hit or miss. Those of you who follow my channel know I'm an MMO player at heart. But every once in a while, a survival game blows my expectations out of the water. With Dragonwilds originating from an MMO, I thought, hey, I know that world, it looks interesting, let's give it a shot. And I am very glad that I did. Let's get this out of the way though. Dragonwilds is in fact an early access game. You are paying $30 for an unfinished product. There is tons of work to go, a lot more content to add, and an entire world that needs to be expanded before it's ready for release. But it has given players a very strong start with an extremely polished starting experience and world. The world itself feels like if Valheim in old school RuneScape had a baby. It has that foggy atmosphere similar to when you first step foot into Valheim, with a pretty similar art style, and honestly is where I would imagine old school RuneScape to look if it was ever made into a modern MMO. There is plenty of familiarity to RuneScape in this world as well. There are some familiar NPCs with glow-ups, familiar looking enemies, and a lot of systems function in a similar fashion, which we'll get into in a minute. The world really shines on Unreal Engine 5, a little too much at times as I get blinded by the torches in my house at night, and the world is alive too. Goblins will send hunting parties after you, dragons will harass you gathering, which really ties into the story being on this dragon-infested island. You wouldn't feel the threat of these beasts if they just left you alone until the time was right to take one on. There are also dungeons out in this world which offer a much tougher challenge than your general gathering and fighting mobs for resources, and have a very similar feeling to what you'd expect in a RuneScape dungeon. Avoiding traps, jumping obstacles, and fighting down some tough mobs that actually took me a few times to master. The good thing about these dungeons though is the mobs don't reset upon death, and your tombstone will be right outside the entrance of the dungeon so you can get your gear back and keep going, preventing you from wanting to really rage quit the game on every death. Because when you die, like most survival games, you will drop everything in your main inventory except for the gear you have equipped. There are 2 additional inventories though that house your magic runes and your quest items that don't drop upon death, which is a pretty nice touch in my opinion. When it comes to construction and building up your base, which is a foundation of a lot of survival games, this has some of the best building tech I have seen from a survival game. It's extremely easy to get the hang of. You can snap in pieces or you can free place. You can set walls in the middle of the foundation instead of them automatically snapping to the end, and there are going to be some extremely cool builds that come out of this. Just not for me because I'm terrible at this sort of thing. And there are also a ton of options to start, with more recipes being discovered from chests and drops out in the world to further make your shack feel more like home. When it comes to combat, I was pleasantly surprised how smooth it feels. It's no Elden Ring combat, but you have a variety of different weapons and a variety of different attacks you can unlock. There's a stamina feature that ties into your basic attacks, dodging and blocking, and the NPCs don't feel clunky and your attacks land and register how you'd expect them to. Like RuneScape, there are different builds you can have based on the weapons you have equipped. Hold a sword and shield, donning some heavy armor with faster attacks using a shield to block incoming enemies. You can wield a bow where you can aim down sight, and the longer you draw, the more accurate your attack will be. But don't forget to craft some arrows. Then there is the staff, which works in a similar function to the RuneScape magic system. All of the magic in this game is tied to runes, and you can get runes through rune crafting. The first staff you unlock to craft is the Air Staff, and in order to use this once you have it equipped, you'll need air runes as ammo. This thing can do quick bursts of damage, or you can right click and hold for a stronger AoE knockback that consumes more runes. The staff, like the other abilities, also have a combo system, so if you successfully hit 3 attacks in a row, your 4th one will be significantly stronger, but also have a longer cast time that can be interrupted. The staff though is by far my go-to weapon in almost every situation in the game, and I hope there's a bit more balancing that comes down the road with this, because I'd really like to use a bow, but it just feels completely worthless compared to an air staff. Skilling will also feel similar to you RuneScape players. While there are significantly less skills available, you will still need to level your skills from 1 to 99. As you progress, new perks and magic abilities will be unlocked, and these magic abilities can be anything from using your axe to chop down a tree instantly, to a protective shield that absorbs more damage and knocks back your enemy when you successfully block. Honestly, the RuneScape skill system feels right at home for a survival game. But there are some cons though that I hope get resolved in early access, the first one being the lack of character customization. I never thought I'd see the day where old school RuneScape would have more customization options than a game built on Unreal Engine 5. I like that they are keeping the similar feeling of RuneScape with the customization, but I'm hoping early access brings in some more hairstyles, starter clothing options, and more color choices overall. My second complaint is the server cap of 4 players is just silly to me. A game based off an MMO world, I'd kinda expect more. And I'm hoping when they eventually bring in dedicated servers, and as the world continues to expand, so does the number of players that you're allowed to have within it. While you could do the majority of content by yourself, I'd still love to see a few more social features added and more room for those who have more than just 4 friends they want to play with. Perhaps even an endgame wilderness area as well could be pretty cool. Next is the survival mechanics of hunger and thirst. While I'm fine with them in the game, I feel like I'm getting hungry or thirsty way too quickly, and it turns out to be a major inconvenience. There are plenty of drinks and food around to keep you going, but stopping what I'm doing what feels like every 15 minutes to eat and drink, as my resource bars have just dwindled, or to make more food if I run out, just doesn't feel good at all when I'm out exploring this vast world, and it's something that I hope the time at least gets extended a bit on down the road, or maybe there's some better foods I can craft later on that give me buffs or something that make that time last longer. But my biggest concern is that this game is going to fall in the same issues that a lot of survival games do. The fact that the game becomes stale after so many hours of doing the same thing over and over again. Survival mechanics, in my opinion, have some of the most repetitive gameplay loops. You go through, you gather, you craft, you build up your base, you build a crafting station, you upgrade your gear, and you repeat, just so you can go into the next area and take on stronger foes. By endgame, you're at a point where you've basically automated your routines to keep your upkeep going, and have the materials to craft the best gear, so even if you die, you can still just go and make the best things again. This is the point where I think many players fall off, and I hope Dragonwilds finds a way to keep players engaged even at this later game, continuing to add more and more content. Overall though, do I think this game is worth $30 for early access? Hell yes I do. I'm having an absolute blast, and I think the survival game has the potential to be at the top of the list with V Rising and Valheim, and being another great game for players who like this genre. Buying into early access also gets you some cool exclusive gear, and if you're worried about the game running out of content, don't be, because Jagex has a massive roadmap. They are going to continue to make improvements on this world and continue to fill it up until we get that launch, and hopefully for a long time after launch as well.